All right, guys, we are back. Another episode. Me and Elijah are actually coming inbound. We are now pulling into our corporate office, as you see in front of us here. We're going to take a look. I think I got a couple trailers sitting up front we're going to take a look at. So as you see, our office is situated here. And up on the front side here is where we keep our loaded trailers for our drop side on the right-hand side there. So many times we have our local drivers go and load loads, and then they bring them here for our road drivers. And this load right here with the tarp on in front of us, Clayton went and got yesterday. It came out of Coldwater, Michigan, and it's going down to Texas. And then the flatbed next to it got loaded on, I think 2 days ago, and it was loaded out of East Chicago, Indiana, and I think that's going to Avon, Indiana, and that is going to deliver on Tuesday. And this piece is going to deliver on Monday. So we've got a road guy coming inbound, and he is going to take the step deck, deliver it in Texas on Monday, so he'll be running the weekend. And then we're going to have a local guy take this preloaded local load to Avon, Indiana on Tuesday. So let's go take a look at them, see how they look. So like I was saying, we got these loads loaded. So what we'll do in these loads, like this specific load had the tarp, right? So we'll never take a customer's load and untarp it when we get to the yard. So our local guys will take tarps with them, tarp the load, and as our road guys come in, they then exchange their tarps on their trailer, give them to us, we put them in inventory, and now these will be their tarps, because we can never untarp a customer's load from the time it leaves the shipper until the point of destination. There's a reason we tarp these loads, and it's a reason that the customer is obviously asking us to, and it's primarily to make sure that these loads don't have any water damage on them at all. I know for a fact that this load is 66,000 pounds. So that's why we have it loaded on a 3-axle trailer. That's just what it's needed to be able to axle the weights. You can take a look here. You want to know the rule number 1 about tarping? It's something funny. I always ask these guys, do you know? You never roll up a tarp with the outside in, you roll it up backwards. So you always roll a tarp up inside out. So if this tarp was on the ground and these D-rings were on the outside, you would roll the D-rings into the inside. Because what happens is when you put a tarp on a load, it's rolled up, as you've seen on trailers before. We don't have any out here, but the tarps come rolled up and they are all rolled up inside out. So we'll lift the tarp up on top of the piece, unroll it, and as we're unrolling it, we'll flip it over to the sides, and then these D-rings are on the outside. These D-rings are only on one side of the tarp because you don't want metal on the inside of the tarp to damage or scratch the machine. So the D-rings will always be on the outside as long as you roll your tarps up the right way. See, it's a wide piece here. You can see at the top. So the rub rail's here and it's overhanging, roughly a foot. So you can see it's right there, widest point. The other thing to always notice is when you are tarping a load and it has to require more than one tarp, which many times it does, especially when you're loading oversized machinery like this. So he's got the blue tarp on the front, he's got the black tarp on the back, and he's got extra tarp from the black tarp because we didn't need it all with what was on here. But one thing to always keep in mind if you're tarping a load or you see one going down the road is if you do have to use 2 pieces, always start from the back going forward. So if you look at this, he's loaded this. He knew he was gonna need 2 tarps, right? The drivers can do they're smart. They can do the dimensions in their head, especially this oversized stuff, and say, hey, I got these 2 tarps. I'm gonna need both of them to make sure this is completely covered, right? Because if you were only using the blue one, this would be exposed, which is completely unacceptable. This load is completely covered. But what I was saying is you always start from the back. So he got loaded, he put this black tarp on, and then you see he put this blue tarp on. So the black tarp is probably halfway up, and then he started from the front and put the blue tarp on. Now imagine going down the road at 68 miles an hour, and that's obviously the front, you're running down the road. If this black tarp was on top of the blue tarp, it would look like a balloon going down the road. If you guys have ever driven down the road and you see tarps on loads and they're flapping in the wind, it's really a poor tarp job. So with the blue tarp going on second, even though it was closer to the front, the wind is gonna come off the back of that and just roll right down. There will be no flapping. You know, it would be the average flapping in the wind, but if this was reversed, it would be a nightmare and a public safety hazard. I think that's it for this one. Let's go take a look at this vaporizer. You see these trailers, they have arches in them. So if Elijah, you get your camera up here, you can look at the front of it and you can see the arch in the trailer, and that's meant to be that way. It's for when you load things with weight, it'll set the trailer down and it'll flatten the trailer out. So when you have something like this and you see that arch not even touched, you know you really don't have much weight in it. So this is a load that doesn't tarp, obviously. Straps on the front. So this is a vaporizer, and I really like how it's secured. So if you take a look at this, what could easily happen if you're not careful, not just with this piece, with many other pieces, is if you weren't to secure something that's aluminum and this thin, I mean, look at this side, this is nothing. If you were to throw a strap over these fins and put even a tiny bit of pressure down on them, that's a claim. These fins will bend without even thinking about it. So what he's done is he's put a 2-inch strap right in this channel, which is the strongest point of the load, and he's actually even put an edge protector over the corner because these edges inside the channel are sharp. So this strap is very tight and it's pulled down in there and it's on the top side flush, but he did this to protect the strap, and that way the strap won't get cut at this corner. And it protects the customer's piece. So he's got one there and he's got another one here on this back side. Same thing. Edge protector on the edge, protecting that edge of metal right there, and that strap runs the channel all the way to the other side and it holds it right snug to the trailer. You can't get much safer than that. That's a really good securement job. All right, guys, that's a couple loads we got in our yard. A lot going on this week. These guys will be taking these loads out over this upcoming weekend. This one specifically, he'll be down in Texas on Monday, and this one will be in Avon, Indiana next Tuesday. So follow along, follow our social media, our Facebook, our Instagram, everything. We're posting these videos every week on all of our social media, and hope you guys enjoy them, and see you next week.